We have got we are here to discuss about panel discussion on accelerating your journey with digital transformation. The panel will be moderated by Ms. Anshu Anand, who is the founder of Anshu Anand and Advisors. I'm right. I hope I'm right. Yeah. So Anshu, over to you. So you can take it from here. So I'll just take a back seat from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Fahim. Good morning, everyone. I am running a business advisory firm where we have seen one of the most challenging and fast forward change, adaptation to change, during the past decade. And I would like to, welcome all the speakers on the panel where, we'll try to learn from them about their journey on digital transformation and cybersecurity and how they're managing the data privacy. So without any further ado, I would welcome, first of all, Mr. Sanjeev. Please give us your introduction about yourself and about your organization.
Yeah, hi, good morning, all. My name is Tanjeet Singh. I'm from Tata Tele Business Services. I've been associated with this organization for the last 10 years in the space of enterprise B2B business. The organization is pretty much into the space of the B2B business, as I said. We are typically providing all the telecom infrastructure services to the organization. Considering the fact of the major focus line which we do is with the SME business segment, and last 2 years have been a really a roller coaster ride for all of us, and probably that really gives us to the opportunity to learn a lot of stuff and learn new things. And digitalization has always been the challenge for all the organization to get it to that particular range. But having said that, 2 years has been a journey where a lot of organization has transformed themselves into the the digital part. So looking forward for a more insightful and the session, and probably would learn a lot of stuff from the other panelists too. Thank you, Anshu.
Sure. Mr. Gandhi, please tell us about your organization about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Anshu, for giving me the opportunity to speak here. Hi, one and all. I am Kumar Gandhi, founder and CEO of Arika Foods. We invented this brand last year, June 2020. And overall about myself, I bring in 14 years of experience in sales and marketing in IT and office automation, wherein I worked for various brands in the office automation like Vico India Limited, Barco, and fintech companies like Pine Labs. And further, I entered into the FMCG domain, wherein our motive is to launch and bring in the healthy snacking products in market. And there how Ariga Foods has been born. About Ariga Foods, we have been helping consumers eat better. Ariga Food is an innovative retail and B2B brand, wherein we are directly reaching out to the consumers and guiding them, telling them how the superfood can be convenient and tasty. We did a survey before launching this brand, wherein we wanted to know what is people say on the superfood, healthy food को किस तरीके से लोग समझते हैं. And after reaching out to 250 people, the end users, and we got to know that people think that superfood is, yes, it is nutritious, it is good for health, but people don't find it convenient and tasty. Likewise, if we talk about dry fruits, we talk about quinoa seeds, we talk about quinoa itself, or seeds, any edible seeds, people don't find it interesting because they are not tasty. So the motive of Ariga Food is basically to make superfood convenient and tasty for the consumers, and that is how we launched Ariga Foods in the month of October last year as a healthy snacking brand overall. Our major forte is basically into the flavored nuts, flavored seeds, and raw nuts. Raw nuts is a big, huge market wherein everybody's selling and everybody's consuming raw nuts. You always consume raw nuts on a daily basis in breakfast and everything. But when we talk about flavored nuts and seeds, this is the market which is not tapped, which is untapped so far. And we want to make it a reality that healthy food is always a tasty and convenient as well. That is how Ariga Food has been born, and that is our major objective to cater the world, basically to make the superfood convenient and tasty for every household around the world, and that is how we have done it. We have been selling and we have been producing the flavored nuts and flavored seeds in a way that they are tasty and they are convenient. When I say about convenient, it is the convenience. Let's say Kumar Gandhi wants to have something during the non-meal hours. Basically, let's say we have breakfast, we have lunch, and we have dinner. There are 3 meals, and in between there are hunger pangs when we wish to have something like snacking, maybe chips, maybe wafers, maybe something else. And there is the option of Ariga food products come in, wherein you feel like you want to have something, but you don't want to skip your lunch. So we have products like flavored nuts, tandoori almonds, cheese and up cashews. They're itself, they sounding itself is a very tasty and crunchy that you can have them in mid meals. That is how the Ariga Foods is all about. And now we are reaching it to multiple uh, markets. If you talk about the distribution, the online sales, and these places. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Gandhi. So nice to know about Ariga Foods. Now we move on to Mr. Arvind Kanodia. Please tell us about yourself and about your organization.
Thanks, Anshu. My name is Arvind Kanodia, and I run an IT company by the name AlpineSoft IT Solutions Private Limited. We are Google's partner, and we provide Google services, any email solutions or the Google Meet solutions, plus Google AdWords and all the digital marketing things. We also have a team of software developers, and we do customized software development for SMBs. Like for example, a CRM software or a billing software for a publishing industry. So we have done quite a few projects with the multiple industries. We are not limited to one particular sector. So we are working with the healthcare sector also in the US geography, and also in Europe we are working with a couple of customers. The company is about 11 years old now, and my personal experience, I have worked for multiple companies in my 25 years long career, which before I started this journey as an entrepreneur. So I've been into IT sector for more than 36 years now. We have also helped a lot of SMBs, go online, take advantage of the digital media, digital platforms. So I think we will talk more about during the sessions. So
Sure.
that's about AlpineSoft right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Arvind. Next, we would like to hear from you, Mr. Abhijit Chatterjee. Please tell us about yourself and your organization.
Thank you, Anshu, and thank you for inviting me in this forum. So my name is Abhijit Chatterjee. So I run a business here in Delhi. This is an IT business. So we have 5 divisions in IT sector: hardware, software, networking, internet, and security. So we provide the entire complete IT infrastructure for any organizations, small organization to big enterprises. So as Mr. Arvind says, that he's specifically into email solution and cloud solutions. So we have that solution also. Beyond that, we have domain hosting, emails server, all these kind of solutions. Plus we have software solution. We have third-party tie-up with Microsoft, Adobe, and a lot of other companies in software. And plus we also design and develop software. And apart from that, we have security solution, where we provide IT security, cyber crime, cyber law, these kind of things we are also providing. So we have a lot of customers, starting from Indian Railways, Supreme Court, CBI, this government organization. Then we have some private organization also. And we also have SMEs, where we provide all these solutions for SME sector also. So we will also discuss a lot of other things, what project we have done, and on for whom what we have done during the course of this session. So over to you, Anshu, now.
Sure. Thank you so much. Mr. C.P. Singh, we would like to hear from you about yourself and your organization. Mr. C.P. Singh?
Thanks, Anshu. My name is C.P. Singh, and I am a serial entrepreneur. I started my journey immediately passing out from my BTech. I've worked for myself always, and during this time in this journey, incubated several businesses, IT businesses. I am co-founder to Smile Group. Smile Group has been responsible for making technologies for MakeMyTrip.com, Microsoft, LG, G, lot of MNCs. We have enabled them to do online business in India. We have managed LG store, Microsoft store in India. Around 8 years back, I founded another group called Smart Group, which is focusing on process automation. Under that, basically, we started with a home automation company, which basically controls the entire building from your mobile. And so then we diversified and started creating our own products in SOS, facility management, logistics. So we are now working with a lot of large companies to commute their employees from their home to office and back, basically. So the entire tracking, something very similar to Ola, but more complex than Ola, because Ola is only one vendor and managing its own drivers. But here we are managing multiple vendors of the corporate and working on a multiple rate card. So it's quite a complex platform. And recently, during the COVID time, we diversified ourselves because most of the MNCs were work from home has come in. So our business basically took a dip in terms. So we diversified into waste management. In the waste management, we started with the technology to do door-to-door collection, and now it is the mandate from the central government Swachh Bharat Mission that every home has to give a segregated waste. So your wet and dry has to be segregated. So we maintain the record of every household that who has given segregated and mixed waste, and we created our own serum during this lockdown to compost the wet waste. So which is a USP that we have, that we are able to compost the wet waste within 15 days without any odor or smell. So a lot of innovation has happened in this COVID times, and a lot of transformation is happening from the government side also, as well as from the SMB side also. So over to you.
Absolutely, that's an incredible work that you're doing and helping all of us. Next, we would like to hear from you, Mr. Bhupender Ranjan. Please tell us about yourself and your organization.
Hi, Anshu. Thank you. I'm Wing Commander Bhupender Ranjan, and in the business of event management, I started Global Nexus back in 2006. And 6 years later, that's about 2012, I started an NGO, a RISE NGO to propagate entrepreneurship and innovation. In Global Nexus, we've been doing a lot of work for the government, along with the work of events for the President and Prime Minister for the past about 7-8 years, and of course for the corporates right from the beginning. The last 2 years, of course, have been difficult, but we have changed and still trying to change at a faster speed. We haven't gone down under, fortunately, which a large number of event management companies did. Over to you, Anshu, for the discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ranjan. Next, we would like to hear from you, Virendra, about yourself and your organization. Mr. Virendra Kumar?
Actually, there is no Mr. Virendra Kumar.
Yeah, there is nobody with the name Virendra Kumar.
Okay. So let's move on to you, Mr. Vivek Mittal. Please tell us about yourself and your organization.
Thank you, Anshu. I believe everybody can see my name on the screen. I am Vivek Mittal. I am working as a Director Human Resources and Strategic Partnerships in Shobit University. And let me introduce Shobit University. Shobit University is a group of 2 separate universities. We are headquartered in Delhi, and we have our first university in Meerut and second university in Saharanpur. We are also running a campus in Sector 57 of Noida, and we are headquartered in Mayur Vihar Phase 2 in the institutional area. So we are multidisciplinary universities and we are offering courses at bachelor's, master's, and doctoral level. As of today, I can say that, except modern medicine, which is MBBS, we are offering courses in all domains, including we have a Ayurveda college, we have a yoga and naturopathy college, we have a pharmaceutical college, we have a engineering college, we have a management college, law college, we have applied sciences, basic sciences, almost everything except modern medicine. So talking about digital transformation, yes, in education sector in last 16 months, there has been, tremendous, changes in the way of working, which we call transformation, and that is the new normal today. So definitely, I would like to share my views on that. I look forward to it. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mr. Mittal. It is amazing to have such industry experts on our panel to discuss the topic of digital transformation. So, considering the current pandemic of COVID era, please tell us, Sanjeev, what are your thoughts on digital transformation that has happened in the past 1 or 2 years?
So, Anshu, probably if you look at out, the last 2 years, as I said, everybody was pretty much impacted with this pandemic. And telecom being, the essential service has really played a vital role in terms of the digital transformation for any of the organization. For us, it was pretty a challenge for us because staying in this country, and we never realized that every state has its own laws, and you find a lockdown here in UP and you don't find a lockdown in Haryana. So probably that's what, something where you really need to understand that how we can do the management of our resources. That's one. Second, ensuring that these services are really a critical piece. So network enhancement was a pretty important factor for us to ensure that all the customers are getting catered in a right way. So considering the fact of this, the digital transformation, one is the fact that pretty much, the challenge which was there for us as an organization was the network enhancement. That's one. Ensuring the right set of services. That's two. Third is the fact that there is a lot of, debate for us, the how we can move ahead and shape ourselves into the digital part as well as in within the organization. We really needed to focus out how do you need to, shape up in terms of, diversification of our product line too, right? And that really happened for us. I've been there in this organization for last 10 years, but in last 1.5 years, we have launched almost 10 to 12, different variants of the products. Considering the fact that a lot of organization, especially the SMB, cannot, put a lot of capex in their, the infrastructure. So really wanted to, look at out, the option of the plug and play. So that it becomes, very easy for them to adapt. That's one. Second, the knowledge expect is really critical. You cannot train any of your, all the employees as well. So that you really need something, which is pretty much into the plug and play phase. So having said that, we have diversified a lot in our, our product and services. We launched a lot of versions to it. Look at out the, the any of the services we talked about. Mr. Gandhi was there into the food and beverages, or my colleagues, who are there in the IT companies, or the automation part, anybody else. So they were really looking out, the options where they can have the right set of connectivity to it. So the product line, whether it is on the VPN or into the cloud or into the voice or into the part of security, anything else which has been there. So a lot of the transformation has happened in last 1.5 year, in the industry as well as with the the organization as well. Second, we also, since we comes under the supervision of DOT, right? And the documentation comes, a very critical piece for us. So when you take any of the order from the customer, so there is the physical copies because so we have moved into the digital part to it. So where you're not required any kind of the physical interaction with the person, and probably you can collect the documents, and this is more of the digital prospect. It goes and it's been processed, and then the services have been started. So there is a lot of transformation has been done in last 1.5 years, and probably I would say that we have done really well in this particular perspective, right, Anju?
Thank you. Abhijit, what has been your experience with the digital transformation in this COVID era?
Yes, in this COVID era, as we are the service provider to all those sectors, So we face a big challenge because, I mean, uh, till now we were receiving inquiries, or requirement for IT related services. Now what happened, being we are providing solution to the companies, now people are started working from home. So now the solution segregated to, from office to home also. Like on the cloud, by screen sharing, we have to, figure out their individual issues, and to handle an organizational issue is quite easy for us, because we have been doing that thing. But to handle each and everyone's individual issues, and that to an individual home, like my laptop has certain problem, this is some software issues, and this lockdown has started in certainly. So whoever has whatever devices, they start working on that, whether they are secured or they are fully equipped or not, they started working on that. So there's a challenge which organization also facing, and they I mean, being service provided, I mean, they say that please you help us in all those manner. So it was a pretty challenge for us. And in our organization also, we were facing a lot of issues, like as Mr. Singh says, this is a manpower issue. Like earlier, our engineers, visit to customer place and fix up all those things and come back. And now what happened then, that in the lockdown they also can't move, so they have to work from their home. So whatever resources we have in our warehouse or in our office, I mean, that has been logged. So that's a challenging thing. So we were thinking like how to cope up all those issues, and I mean, whether we can be able to help uh, our existing customer with this situation also. So we have started, a couple of projects where we have started like solution over the screen sharing. So with the help of TeamViewer, with the help of AnyDesk, and with the help of third-party software, we have started, providing them services. And all those people who are not that tech savvy in our customer premises, they want us to, teach us everything, like how to do a video conferencing. I mean, what are the equipments they want, or their existing equipment, whether that support or not, and how to operate that thing. So this is a very small thing, but still, yes, we have to provide them solution for even if it's small, from the scratch, a small thing to the big thing. So these are the challenges we were faced, and now we are in a stage that we are just providing solution to everybody.
That's great. That's so nice to hear, Mr. Vijay. Next, we would like to hear from Mr. Mittal. In terms of, since you have an expertise in the education sector, what do you think? How has digital transformation impacted the education sector during COVID times?
Thank you, Anshu. I will start with a simple statement that COVID crisis had impacted education in a big way. It has been an opportunity for the education sector, especially higher education sector, to improve their processes, various types of processes. Because, in an education institution, basically, there are 4 types of processes which are important. First is the admission process. Second is the teaching learning process. Third is exams and evaluation, and fourth is placements and internships. So these are the 4 main processes in any education institution, especially in a higher education institution, college or a university. And COVID crisis, I will share my personal experience right from the beginning. Last year, when COVID surfaced, we decided that this is, as I said, this is an opportunity for us, and let us automate all our processes introduce technology in all our campuses. Let us network them. Let us provide, smartphones, laptops to all employees and to all our students so that they are connected with our central system. So, I mean, as said, it is a big transformation, and students, of course, are benefiting from it because now continuing education is possible. Anytime education is possible at the convenience of their homes, and evaluation is fully automated, so there is no chance for any kind of manipulation. Online proctoring has been introduced, various things. And even talking about the education delivery part, that has been fully automated. It has become more interactive. Students can the students who were shy earlier, now they can easily interact with the mentor, with the student over the digital platform. They can discuss even the personal issues. In case some part of the lecture is not clear to them, they can discuss there. So overall, as said, there has been a big transformation in the education sector, and this is a continuing process. Education institutions are building on this with each day. We are improving further and further and further with each academic session, with each semester, and like that. Thank you.
That's very interesting to know that even the people skills have gotten a boost due to the digital transformation in education sector. Thank you so much for your input.
Anshu, can I add a few things?
Sure, please.
Yeah, in my experience in this last 1.5 years with the pandemic, education institutions are the ones who have changed the most. They have all adopted digital technology. Google has a classroom application which is only for the education institutions, and many schools and colleges and even universities have adopted to go online, started giving lectures online. The question answers are online, assignments are given online, and the assessments are done there. So there is a drastic change in the way we educate. I'm sure somebody, I don't remember exactly who, but someone in the Facebook also wrote that 10 years ago, IDEA had a advertisement, with the phone, doing the classroom session on phones. It's a reality now. So all the classes are happening online. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's so true, and I think this is just the beginning of a new world that we are stepping into.
Yes, and we have had a lot of education institutions go online.
That's great. And so I'd like to move on to the next question on that note, to understand what are the various strategies and practices that have been taken by an organization for digital transformation. Arvind, would you like to start by giving us your...
Yeah, I mean, every company, every workplace was affected due to COVID, with the restrictions being imposed and the lockdown being imposed. So all the companies started looking at options on how to continue working from home. IT sector, it was much easier because IT sector already had infrastructure ready, and not everyone had, not all the IT companies had the right infrastructure to manage the workforce from home. But then Google came up with a lot of solutions, a lot of new technologies. I'm talking mostly about Google because I am a partner with Google and I work with them a lot. So, but there are other companies also who have come up with the solutions on how to control and how to monitor the workforce who is working from home. So, a lot of companies in the manufacturing sector, only the employees who really needed to be in the office, they were working from office. Most of them were working from home only. So, how do they monitor? So, a lot of companies underwent a lot of technological changes, and some of them adopted Microsoft Teams, Microsoft technologies. Some went to Google, some went to Amazon, and everything worked. I'm not saying that one is lesser than the other. Every solution worked. Depending on their budget, they chose the technology. So a lot of strategies changed. When earlier, when the management used to think of somebody working from home, they used to have a doubt. ये पता नहीं घर पे काम करेगा कि नहीं करेगा, I don't know. Maybe he's doing something else. But now every company has started trusting their employees that they are performing. And there are ways and means to keep a check on the employees whether they are actually working from home or not, or just watching TV and doing cooking and other things. So a lot of strategies have changed the companies, and the new technologies that have emerged now, especially the video conferencing tools like Zoom and BlueJeans and Jitsi, Google Meet, and a lot of other people are coming in. So it has actually given an opportunity to the smaller IT companies also to grow. So if you look at the startups, there are a lot of startups who have started a couple of years back, but they have now grown big. So that's my take on the digital uh, technologies.
Anshu, if
Thank
you
you so
allow,
much.
Anshu, if you allow me, I will like
Sure.
to add something to what Mr.
Sure.
Kanodia said. That definitely I agree that it is a great opportunity for SMEs, because giving our example, more than 50 SMEs are associated with us for providing technology. Some are into software, some are into hardware, networking, security, and various other things. So definitely digital transformation, I am talking in specifically to education sector, has created lot of opportunities for SMEs. And in future also, I believe there will be lot more opportunities for SMEs and for startups also, because now I notice that various startups are also coming up to tap this market. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mittal. That's absolutely true. And now we would like to hear from you, Mr. Singh. How has, what are the strategies and practices that your organization has taken for digital transformation?
This question is addressed to whom? To anybody can speak, or
CP Singh?
To Mr. Singh.
okay, sorry.
CP Singh. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, Anshu, so there are a lot of digital transformation, which has been done in the past 2 years. We already have a platform called Smart IoT platform, through which basically we were able to give a lot of services to our end customers, large corporates, to transform their services immediately. So the first thing was digital facility management. So there are a lot of manual activities which are done to maintain the facilities, something like maintenance of genset, maintenance of seat management, all those things basically. So we transformed their organization, and basically we got them into digital facility management, which means that everything can be done through mobile and doing it contactless. The buzzword is contactless when it comes to COVID. So we started with contactless deliveries and contactless attendance systems also. Those were based out of QR code, those were based out of RFIDs, basically depending what strategy the company decides, basically we were able to offer the solutions accordingly. Then we also saw that there is contactless metering which has started happening, energy metering, which has started happening in corporates as well as basically large smart cities also. So we saw that those projects were already in line, but they were accelerated, and so that there is no contact required. No one goes into a house and then does a meter reading. We were already doing, as I said, transport management for large workforce. So we made that facility also contactless, in terms like there are several checklists which the driver has to run before starting the trip, and he ensures that there is a sanitizer in the, and he wears gloves, he clicks his selfie. So we did, those things were done by supervisors of the cabs before they started the trip, but since there was a fear and we wanted the process to become contactless, hence basically we digitized the process and digitize the entire checklist was digitized, and the drivers and the supervisors were able to monitor their operations accordingly. Then the asset management, which is being carried out in all the large corporates, basically be it chair, table, or any IT asset, they were being moved across the city to hand it over to the employees. So the assets were tagged with RFID tag, and their audit is now the person is able to do the audit much faster rather than physically checking the everything. They just have to carry the RFID reader in the premises, and the attendance of all the assets is being taken on. And similarly, the digital workflows, all the processes which were manual were converted into digital, so that there is minimal contact, as well as the system is able to take decisions automatically. We are also now working on artificial intelligence based decision making, so that whenever there is a ticket which is getting support ticket which is getting raised, we are able to detect the tonality of the person, basically. So like, is he angry? Is he giving sarcasm in his text? So all those things are now getting, it's a step ahead of the digital transformation. Now artificial intelligence is going to take up, and you would have seen that a lot of banks, basically, if you now call their IVR, you get a very intelligent AI based response management over there. So all those things have transformed in the last 2 years, and those projects which were taking few years to get implemented were implemented in record few months, and organizations were able to provide service to their respective customers, the customers being their employees or their end customers, or customers sitting abroad, basically. So like that. So a lot has been done, and we have transformed a lot of processes into digital. The best example that I have given is the waste collection management system. So previously, the residents used to follow the waste collector to hand over the waste to them. Now they know when he's going to come, when he has collected the waste from previous house, what kind of waste they are giving. Everything has been digitized. Hence, basically, the productivity of the waste collector has increased, as well as the resident behavior, which used to take basically a few months to start giving segregated waste, has started giving segregated waste within 15 days of implementation of this platform. So overall, digital is there and basically is helping the entire community, companies, corporates to transform themselves to make them a better organization.
Brilliant. We get to hear, insights from various sectors, with your experience. That's commendable. Next, we would like to hear from you, Mr. Ranjan. How has your organization, applied certain strategies and practices towards digital transformation?
Hi, Anshu. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell my views about how we went around in the company. First of all, I must tell you it wasn't easy, for a very simple reason that number one, it came all of a sudden. And that was fine. It came all of a sudden, and the change had to be abrupt. And secondly, the end doesn't seem to be in sight at the moment of this change. That is another problem. So initially we said, let's carry on with our core, that is the physical events. So that is still going on. We are still going on with 50% of my staff is still taking care of the core and hoping that it will break. Once the COVID infection comes down and this risk of third wave goes, or if it is there, it will be held. If it comes down, then the physical events will start. In the meantime, we've also got into the digital, that is the virtual events. We've done a large number of virtual events. Now we are targeting, in fact, we've been targeting virtual exhibitions on a larger scale and we have about 2-3 inquiries going on. Hopefully, we'll get on to it. See, the most important thing of the change is that the customer, the person I was dealing with in a company, whether it was marketing or sales, they were all worried about the physical event. That means you put up a stall in the mall, or you have a family day in an organization, or in a conference, you put up an exhibition stall, show their things, sampling. Like we did a lot of work for PepsiCo, so we used to sample for over 500 people in a day and making not 1, 2, but 3 to 4 dishes out of Quaker Oats. That was the scale we used to do it on. All that has become zero. Secondly, the extent of a physical event is much bigger because you have to do a lot of branding all over, depending on the area. Whereas virtual events are comparatively much smaller, except for the exhibitions, what we are targeting now. And thirdly, the manpower. Changing the manpower, the outlook of the organization, our manpower was in a typical event company. They come and sit down in the morning, chat around what is happening. Okay, this is the event going to take place. Talk to the vendors, talk to the client, and push off. Now today, all of them are sitting, working from home, and working on their laptops, which of course they used to do, but some of them were very poor at English. You must understand. Some of them were very poor at English. Some of them were very poor at the laptop. They're very slow at it. Some were very poor at written English communication. So all those problems slowly, fortunately, we've been able to overcome. And now we know that physical events, whether they come or not, we will survive with virtual events. Mainly, we have to change the culture of the organization because the senior lot did not want to change that fast for a very simple reason, because they were used to a physical event, and for them, what they said, in fact, even today, you talk to a typical, he says, there is no future of virtual events in event management. For a simple reason, they say, listen, who can come there? Nobody can come. Everybody wants to come, do a bit of networking. You have an event in, say, a 5-star hotel, will be Taj or Moria. People will come there. Who comes to listen? Very few. 80% of the people come for networking. And there's a problem in this is networking is practically nil. So once the physical events come, people will again start coming. And physical events are going to stay. Of course, certain type of events where you want national or international presence, there would be virtual events happening. Thank you, Anand.
Thank you so much for your input.
Anshu, can I add from the IT perspective?
Sure.
From the IT point of view, event management companies have been, whenever they decided to move on to a virtual, IT companies have benefited a lot. Because they had an opportunity to develop the software. Now I see a lot of events happening online where there is a virtual stage, then the recordings are happening. So it's not like event companies have gone into a shell or gone down. Companies who kept pace with the technology, they have gained a lot because now they get more audience, because audience does not have to be, person does not have to be present physically anywhere. They can join the call wherever they are, even when they are driving, even if they are in the car, they just need to connect on a Zoom call or whatever platform the event company is managing. So it has become much more easier for people to join the events, and a lot of companies are charging minimal charges for registration, charges for these events. So it's not like event companies have gone into loss. The companies who kept pace with the technology, they have gained also. So it's an opportunity for both.
Yeah, Arvind, you're right. You see, what has happened is, in fact, some of the IT companies have also got into events. They're doing it themselves. Secondly, for an event management, I have to go and get the platform. Bigger companies, like bigger organizations, like I'm told PhD and some other, they have CII. They have bought their platforms themselves and they're giving it to the members to use it. Now, once you buy a platform, then you're using it extensively. CII has a large number of meetings every year. So their costs become much lower and they're able to give it. So you're absolutely right. IT has gained a lot. In fact, in the beginning of the pandemic, I was talking to a company and they were prepared to give me a platform for 5 lakhs. And we started talking. We were about to finalize the day. I said, go ahead. They said 8 lakhs. I said, why is this? 3 days later, they said 12 lakhs because they suddenly find that the market was big, and I, in fact, blacklisted that company. We're not talking to them anymore.
Yeah.
Anshu, over to you.
Absolutely. I think hybrid is the way to go for events, definitely in the future as well. Digital transformation is going to stay in event sector as well, but physical presence will also be required. Next, I would like to hear from you, Sanjeev. How has digital transformation contributed to Tata Teleservices and to small and medium enterprises, in your opinion?
So I was hearing all the panelists. So they were talking about, the physical, interaction, maybe in the space of event management or anywhere else. By virtue of the fact that, we say we are here in India, believes when we do any kind of an interaction, maybe on the business perspective, people tends to believe that you have, have a physical interaction, right? The concept we really wanted to looking forward to do it on yourself rather than do it on my behalf. That has also been there, a challenge which has been in the service sector. Now, gradually, for the last 2 years, the concept is getting changed. As an organization, we are moving towards where, now there is a lot of virtual, the capability presentations which we are doing with the end customer. So this is something, really been adopted, and we have done that. So in case any organization looking for any kind of a solution, so we do, the digital capability presentation with the end customer. That's one. Second, probably as an organization, we have moved towards a lot of product diversification has been done, so that it becomes very easy for any organization to move towards the digital. Look at out any of the BPO segment today, right? When this pandemic started, everybody was pretty worried about how my contact center would continue, since my physical the presence of the contact center executive is really a challenge. So look at out all the solutions which are available, the cloud-based solution where work from home itself, all the calls are getting diverted to the executive that is on the cloud phone service. Somehow we believe that somebody talked about that, whether the efficiency level or the productivity is in line or not, then you really need to put a lot of checks to it, right? And that has also been possible with the fact that there are a lot of the smart VPN, or probably on the part of the security perspective, there are a lot of services which are available, and we have diversified ourselves. So when we talk about the Tata Tele Business Service, we are catering almost 46,000 SMB customer in the market today, right? And this is one of the biggest market you would talk about as a pan India level. It's a 200,000 customers which are present today. So when you go to this particular segment, the segment really looks towards a product line which is scalable, which is more on a plug and play, and third, this is very cost effective. When I say in the education sector as well, the diversification which has happened over there is tremendous. We have also seen a journey where the universities or maybe the schools are really adopting the hybrid model now, because now there are a lot of the changes which are going on, a lot of the announcements being done. There will be a hybrid model. Certain sector, the set of institution will get open, some will not. Some of the state would allow, they won't. So the hybrid model is going to continue. So digital transformation has already been done in last year, last 2 years. Look at out the first wave. When this wave started, everybody was pretty confused how this is going to happen. Now everybody is very clear. Organizations are very made, the infrastructure towards that level. In case the third wave comes across, no need to panic. The business or the continue would happen. And here, the telecom is already playing a pretty vital role to it. We have also enhanced ourselves on the product portfolio perspective, on the network enhancement perspective. So this is not going to make very much, bigger impact to the organization. As I said, the event management companies, yes, the physical interaction, as Mr. Ranjan was talking about. But look at out the scale which is available for you when you go to the virtual platform. The kind of audience you can interact, it's humongous. You can go, to the worldwide level. That is which are really happening. I've been attending a lot of the digital seminars from US and from UK as well. That really has become possible for me as well, and of course with all of the fellow panelists as well. So this is really something more of an adaptation. The adaptation has already been there, and people will move towards it. Thank you, Anshu.
Absolutely. I think the better the sooner we adapt to these changes, the better it will be for the industry. Next, let's bring in the elephant in the room, which is data privacy and cybersecurity. Now, that is a challenge which I think, as a sector, all of us have to face. And I'd like to hear from various all the panelists. How has your organization been able to ensure data privacy and cybersecurity while accelerating digital transformation? Let's start with Mr. C.P. Singh.
Yeah. So Anshu, cyber security and data security is one of the most critical point which any organization who is trying to do digital faces. And how ready we were basically, or rest of the organization, they were partially ready, because every company or corporate had their firewalls and everything set according to that employees are going to come at the office, they are going to work, and the data is going to remain within their premises itself. But now basically since the work from home has come in, so they were not fully ready, they were partially ready for that. And once that happened, so there are a lot of things which have basically got open. And the only leeway which the companies had was to have a data privacy getting signed by the employees, that they will not play around with the data. And the most important thing that we all need to see is that the threat from outside is the least that we should be prepared for, but the threat from insider, the internal threats, are the major challenge basically. So in order to go through, since we are a development company and we are a technology company, so as a best practice, we are storing the entire data as encrypted. Whether the data is on the rest, which means when it is stored in the database, whether the data is on the move, which means when it is traveling over the internet, the data is encrypted. And when the data is residing in the device of the end customer, that time also it is encrypted. So this is the best practice that we are following. And from an internal threat perspective, what we have done is we have implemented continuous integration and continuous development. This is a process of deployment and testing of the source code, which makes the process less human dependent. And we are able to separate the development and the deployment team. So once this happens, then the risk of data getting stolen and data getting compromised is less. So this is what we have done internally to ensure that the data does not fall into the wrong hands. Yeah, over to you.
Brilliant. I think that's what all of us need to ensure as well. And it's interesting to hear, how you segregated the various risks, to data. And that's the right approach that all of us, as SME sector can adopt. Next, we'd like to hear from everyone, how do you see organizations adopting digital transformation going forward? Let's start with you, Abhijit.
Okay, yeah. So as I told you, we are an IT company. So the challenge for us is more in terms of, providing a solution, and that too in a mobile manner, and that too in a secure environment. So we have two different segments here. One is first we have to digitize ourselves and use the technology which allow us to work from home in a secure manner. The second part is provide the solution to all those end user customers who wants to work from home, and that too on a same secure manner, and without getting any issues. So here what we have done is, so we I mean, earlier we had hybrid solution, as you Anshu mentioned somewhere, that hybrid solution is also one of the critical part. So earlier we had hybrid solutions where, you know what, they have different departments, like accounts department, sales and marketing, then uh, various other departments. Storage is also a warehouse, is also a separate department. And here what happened, now these people are working, I mean, they are forced to work from home. So the challenge is how to give solution to our end user customers, and getting what kind of getting the information of what kind of product we are having, how and what to supply to our end user customers. So and then again, the billing part, how to bill, because we have a hybrid solution. We have a in-house data center where we stored our data, and data is the critical part of every business. That's the biggest asset for every organization. So how to safeguard your data for leakage, or from in-house theft. So these are the various challenges. And gradually, what we did, we transform our hybrid solution to cloud solution. And the entire thing, like earlier we had a hybrid model. So now we shifted to cloud completely. So our accounting, our stock register, our CRM solution, everything is on cloud. So, and the data is also a critical part. So we also moved our data gradually to cloud. And then we have also make a FAQ knowledge-based kind of thing. Like I mean, while doing this business, we understand that okay, there are so many issues can come, or these are the issues are coming. So we make a knowledge base of all those issues, and upload it on our cloud. So our engineers, whenever they handle a particular customer or customer's issue, and whatever the questions are there, or whatever the solution they ask for, if he knows, he fix it up. If he doesn't aware about that particular thing, he is not calling to someone else. He go to the that knowledge base, find out the solution about there, and then immediately give them. And again, whatever solution we are giving, or whatever project we are doing, and then providing to our customers, that are again all are encrypted. And then at the customer end, they decrypt that part, and then they utilize all those things. So this is the way we have shifted our digital transformation. And the most critical part is the security, because what we believe, there's nothing called 100% secure. I mean, the more you go on digital, the more you vulnerable with the virus threats, and this kind of issues. So our end user customers who are using all our solution, or they are working from home, they are not that secure. So first, what we did, I mean, before we interact with them, we push them a small tool which scan their entire environment. If the environment is healthy, we get a report, it's 100% healthy. Or in case if they have some issues, that I mean, this is 74% or 84% healthy, and 10%, 20%, 30% issues these are the issues, then our tool have a feature that fix their issues, and then make that system healthy. laptop, desktop, whatever they are using, fix that issues and patch up that all those things, and then they can transact with us or our engineers. So this way we are working in this pandemic.
That's great. Next, we'd like to hear from you, Mr. Gandhi. How has, how do you see your organization moving forward with digital transformation? And is there a new market that is created that you see for SMEs?
Well, Anshu, I would like to contribute here. It's seeing the digital transformation in last 2 years, almost 2 years, I say. FMCG sector overall is a distribution channel. If you see, the market moves on a distribution base. The manufacturer give it to the distributor or the stockist or CNF, and he gives to the distributor, and it goes to the dealer and the retailer. It's a long channel. Seeing the last 2 years, it's been really difficult for the organizations wherein they have been trying to distribute these products in these various chains, wherein the manufacturing plant is, let's say, in Baddi or Chandigarh or in Ghaziabad, and it has to move. They want to move the material from one place to another, and then reaching out to the customer. This was really difficult. So organizations in last 2 years have really adapted and changed their business dynamics. If I talk specifically for the FMCG chain, I have personally observing these brands like Cadbury, Himalaya, Hershey's. These are the brands which are always demanded by the consumers, right? And now they are directly reaching out to the customers, wherein instead of moving from B2B to C, they are directly doing it to D2C. So when I talk about the website, e-commerce website automation or developing the new channels for the end customer, like as for us, I give you the right example, like as we started last year in pandemic itself. And for us, again, the challenge was the distribution here itself. So to make that distribution easy, what we have developed so far is, one is we are there already there on e-commerce platform, which is everybody is there. For our distribution channel, what we have done is we have made a special account on our portal, the website, wherein every distributor will have a different pricing at various levels, and they can book the order directly from the website itself. Earlier, what used to happen is there's a physical salesperson who used to visit this distributor, take the orders, and then get back to us. And then we used to fulfill the orders and take the forecast accordingly month on month basis. Now this is a very stream and smooth channel for our distributors and the partners, wherein they can come build their account and they can check the pricing, they can check the product availability and everything. Secondly, if we talk about the transformation has happened in last 2 years, if we talk about the digital transformation, people sitting in, and I'll give you the right example. A lady sitting in Podi Garhwal who was by profession a chef and now building recipes and sharing it over Instagram. So that is how it has. And now she's becoming famous in India or maybe the world. The entire world can see her recipes. Another example, there's an influencer whom we contacted, and she's in Saranpur. She's a yoga expert. And again, she's also bringing change through the Flipkart, through Facebook and Instagram. So that is how the digital transformation is helping organizations overall, and it will definitely help going forward.
That sounds
Anshu, can I come in?
Very interesting. Sure.
I think the very, very good points made by Mr. Gandhi. E-commerce, yes, has undergone a lot of transformation, and especially for the SMBs and the startups. A lot of new startups have straight away gone into cloud. Amazon, Flipkart, of course, is there besides their own platform. It's been a tremendous change and tremendous win-win situation for both the companies, not for the IT as well as the startups. As far as the cybersecurity is concerned, I just wanted to add what Mr. Abhijit and Mr. Singh said. A lot of companies have adopted to monitoring their workforce who's working from home. What they have done is, I mean, I'm talking again from the Google points perspective. Google has a edition which is called an enterprise standard edition, which allows you to control the machines of the end users. You can disallow the USB port. You can disallow them to download a certain application, or you can disallow to you can block the websites for them, what they can do, what they cannot do on a computer. So Google has helped a lot of companies, manage their workforce sitting at home. It's just the admin of the IT of their organization. They just need to define the policies. What is allowed for a particular employee or a particular department, or what is not allowed. So it has been a very, very big change and of course, yes, Google has gained a lot. Plus, the companies who have moved to digital, they have also saved a lot of money on their expenses in terms of physically hiring somebody, or in place of four IT support people, now they have reduced to one. So in terms of salary, they have saved. In terms of infrastructure, the office they have saved, because everything is on the cloud now, and everybody is working and without any fear of having any loss of data and privacy. So everything is safe on the cloud, and people are still working.
Brilliant, absolutely. That's a very important perspective to consider, while adopting digital transformation. Next, we'd like to hear from you, Sanjeev. How have your organization, taken care of the data privacy and cybersecurity? And what do you see as the way going forward?
So I think so Mr. CP Singh also talked about on the security perspective, right? And as an, the organization, as I said, we are already diversified ourselves a lot, considering the fact of, what is the SMI demands for. So probably I would start this a very simple statement. This is more of, we all are living in a society, and, there are a lot of multiple secure checks which are available. Look at the main gate, then on your tower, then to your, when you move to your floor, then you put a multi-layer of kind of a security. Similar way, the organization really need to put a lot of security checks at their the end as well. There is no longer the only the gateway level security will support them. As we are already moved towards more on the work from home concept, right? So there are the multiple factor, the kind of a security which has been required, maybe at the endpoint or a email security, or the multi-factor security. So we are already providing a this such a comprehensive bouquet of such services to our end customers, and we have already done a global tie-up with Trend Micro, Cisco, or Palo Alto, or Fortinet on that towards. Having said that, the most important factor for any organization today is securing the network and assets. So I have a very simple thoughts towards it. One, they really need to create a secured system. When I say the the creating the the secure system, they really need to put the culture towards it as well. They really need to put the accountability in line as well towards everyone, because this is something of more of a co-creation of a the responsibility for the employees as well as for the employer, right? That's one. Second, you really need to increase the skill set of your employees as well towards it, since everybody is working from home, right? So what are the IT best practices they really need to adopt for? What are the possible threats which are possible? So they really need to put the kind of a skill sets towards on the part of the IT knowledge towards it. That's one. Third is the part of you really need to put the backup of your data as well, since we are living in the arena where a lot of things are moving towards the cloud. So securing data is something really possible, and data is the something really critical piece for the any organization. That is very much possible by the fact that the cloud adaptation is very much in line. So really need to put the cloud into work. That's really critical, and that can be done. And the last and the foremost is really company needs to put a lot of investment into their IT infrastructure as well. So this is something really critical for all the organization to put for, and probably the kind of the bouquet and the services which we are offering can really make them the life easy and probably possible for them for this digital journey.
Absolutely. I think in a nutshell, I'd like to sum up that digital transformation gives small and medium enterprises an opportunity to understand that this is a very easily accessible tool to scale up your reach, to ensure that you have a digital clone of every business function available, which helps you with the efficiency to perform your business operations. And now, like Sanjeev mentioned, we have access to the global stage. So the idea is to mitigate the risk of data privacy and cybersecurity by adopting the right tools and using digital transformation as a very important step to grow your business multi-fold within a short span of time. Now I would like to end the session and welcome Mr. Sanjeev Singh to give a vote of thanks to all our speakers.
So thank you, Anshu. It was pretty, the insightful session. I, really realized that there are the kind of the challenges, which are there in, the food and agri-food, the product line which Mr. Gandhi talked about, how the distribution channel was really, the key challenge for him during this pandemic. But somehow he's been able to find out the right solution. And maybe talking about Mr. CP Singh, he talked about more on the part of the also of office automation or the asset management, and the adaptation of IoT has really made the life easy. And probably Mr. Abhijit and Mr. Arvind really gave a lot of insight about how the IT the supports functions or the services which they are offering into the making offering in the market are making life easy for everyone. Thanks to Mr. Vivek, I mean, I got a lot of insight towards the part of the education sector as well. Having said that, this is something the industry which is really scaling up, and probably, as I said, the virtual is really being a the game changer, and how the adaptation has really made a life easy for education sector is really commendable, and there are a lot of things which are going to happen in the future as well. Thanks to Mr. Ranjan, I'm sure the part of the insight you gave it towards the event management company, how they are shaping, and probably your journey has been tremendous. Somehow still you've been able to crack a lot of deals, and wishing you luck towards it. And of course, thank you, Anshu, for this really insightful session, and looking forward to get in touch with each individual in person. And I wish this year has been going to be a roller coaster, not only should not be a roller coaster ride which has been there in the past. I'm sure the business should scale up, and that's the really motive for all of us. Thank you once again, and looking forward to catch up with each individual. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Sanjeev.
Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sanjeev.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thanks. Bye.
Everyone.